affecting the rate of transpiration. So these are going to be factors that either speed up the rate of transpiration or slow it down. Now, when talking about such factors, I'm going to break it down into the following three. Number one, structural factors. Number two, physiological factors. And three, environmental factors. So in this video, we are going to discuss the environmental factors that affect the rate of transpiration. Now, when talking about environmental factors, we are going to discuss what happens when the certain factor is either high or low. So, for example, when mentioning temperature, we are going to discuss how high temperature affects the rate of transpiration as well as low temperatures. So stay tuned. Now, our first factor is temperature, of course. High temperatures increase the rate of transpiration. This simply means that they cause a lot of water vapor to be lost from the plant. Now, they do so in two ways. Number one is that they increase the internal temperature of the leaf, which in turn increases the rate of evaporation. Number two is that high temperatures also dry the area around the leaf, which increases the concentration gradient. So you're going to have a lot of water vapor within the plant and very little of it outside surrounding, for example, the leaf. So this increases the concentration gradient, allowing more water vapor to diffuse from within the plant into the surrounding. What about low temperature? It's simply the reverse. So low temperatures slow down the rate of transpiration by lowering the internal heating of the leaf and therefore slowing down the rate of transpiration. Now, the next one is light intensity. So this simply refers to light or the amount of light that is present. Now, when we talk about stomata, in most plants, stomata tend to open during the day and close at night. And the reason why they open during the day is so as to allow gaseous exchange so that plants can carry out photosynthesis in the presence of light. So essentially, when you have light, stomata are going to be open. Now, when stomata are open, a lot of water vapor can then be lost through the stomata. So what happens during the day? When the light intensity is high, stomata tend to be fully open and therefore allow more water vapor to be lost through transpiration. So the rate of transpiration during the day is quite high when the light intensity is high. Now, this is opposed to when the light is dim. So when you have, for example, very early in the morning or late in the evening, when the amount of light intensity is low, you find that the stomata either tend to be closed or they tend to be partially open. So this reduces the amount of transpiration that takes place. Another factor that affects the rate of transpiration is humidity. Now, humidity refers to the amount of water vapor that is present in the atmosphere. Now, when we talk about transpiration, we are talking about movement of water vapor from inside of the leaf, from the intercellular spaces of the leaf, for example, and into the surrounding. Now, when you have a difference in the amount of water vapor within the leaf and outside, this is referred to as saturation deficit. Let me repeat, a difference in the amount of water vapor inside of the leaf and outside in the surrounding is known as a saturation deficit. So when you have a high saturation deficit, a high difference in the amount of water vapor inside and outside, you're going to have a faster rate of transpiration. So you find that when the humidity is low, so what do we mean by a low humidity? When there's a very little water vapor in the surrounding, in the atmosphere, you're going to have a high saturation deficit because you're going to have a large difference in the amount of water vapor inside of the plant and outside. Because as mentioned before, we have little water vapor in the surrounding due to low humidity. So low humidity means that the rate of transpiration is going to be faster. But if you have a case whereby the humidity is high, that means that you're going to have a lot of water vapor in the surrounding. So that means you have a lot of water vapor within the leaf and outside in the surrounding. What happens to the saturation deficit? It is low. So a low saturation deficit means that the rate of transpiration is also going to be low. Our next factor is wind. Now, wind plays a very crucial role in transpiration. And the reason for this is because on a windy day, what happens is that the wind carries away the water vapor surrounding the plant. So essentially by doing so, it increases the concentration gradient by moving away the water vapor. So that means that on a windy day, you're going to have higher rates of transpiration. But when you have a day that is still, you know, it's less windy, you're going to have accumulation of water vapor surrounding the plants. It's not going anywhere because literally there's very little or no wind. So you're going to have water vapor accumulating around the plant. So in such a case, you find that the concentration gradient becomes low. And if it's low, the rate of transpiration also decreases. So less water is lost on a less windy day. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the end of transpiration. See you next time.